Afternoon and welcome to Unlock the Growth Gear for SMBs. My name is Jofra and I'm so pleased to be with you here today. I'm not alone though. I'm with Rippey from Microsoft, 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶 lead and senior director, and also with Stranaghan, senior business manager at TD SYNNEX as well. Now, we are going to cover three main topics during today's session. And we probably have a lot to uncover, so please buckle up. Now, we will start with Rippey talking about today and tomorrow for 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶. Afterwards, Stranaghan is going to show us some tips, tricks, and how to make 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶 work for your businesses and not the other way around. And finally, we will close with some additional tactics and strategies to drive your businesses forward. Now, before I hand over to Dan, just by a show of hands, how many of you are familiar with 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶? Good. So just so you are, and how many of you do you think that you already master 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶? Even better, because it's a best present for Rippey.
Thanks. Hey everybody, how are you?
Get a lot of hands.
Hey, just a big thanks to the TD SYNNEX team and for all of you to be here. I cannot emphasize enough. I know we say it a lot at Ignite, but we are a partner-led company. We always have been and we always will be. It is you that is the heartbeat of that organization. We wouldn't exist without all of you. So thanks for your commitment to being in Chicago. Thanks for those online, your commitment to watching and joining us. And thank you so much for your partnership. I'm going to talk about three things today. First, I'm going to talk about all of you, and then I'm going to talk about our customers, and then I'm going to talk about us together and how we go to market together. One of the top questions that I get from partners at events like this and on stages all over the world is, what's in it for you? And the three things that I've found in common that all of you are looking for are access to Microsoft products and benefits, access to selling with us to find net new customers you wouldn't have otherwise discovered on your own, and net new sales opportunities you wouldn't have otherwise closed on your own, and access to get paid for performance, for the incentives and the things that matter for your CFOs and the financial advisors in your firms that make decisions on whether or not you want to invest with Microsoft and how much you want to invest with Microsoft. So let's talk about what comes in the time ahead. When we plan with you every year, we think about how to make meaningful investments in the areas that you go to market with us. What reminded me of this was last fall when we sat in our Partner Advisory Council sessions, the first question that the audience answered was, hey, if Copilot is your new product, new flagship coming online, how fast until we get it into the partner program benefits packages? My executive suite came off the stage after that session, looked at me and my team and said, how soon can we do this? The partners asked for it, we have to deliver it for them. We took that commitment on. Those things come online in less than 60 days. We've talked about them a few times already so far today, and we'll talk about them this week about specifically what's in there. But I want you to understand this is a listening channel between us and you to make sure that we're responding to the needs of your teams in a way that's meaningful for you so that you can get this stuff in the hands of your developers and your salespeople and your biz dev leaders to understand the value of what's in there, and you can build new capabilities in your organization that you can bring online and market faster. We also want to pay you for your performance. As you deliver those solutions to your customers, we need to enable you to make that worth your while. We know it's a tremendous investment in what we ask you to do, and those investments should be paid back to you in a meaningful way. The last thing that we look at is how do we accelerate our sales team to become an extension of your sales team. And so when you think about a meaningful bi-directional co-sell exchange, this is the ability for your sales folks to put new engagements into our tooling, into Partner Center, so that our sales reps can see access of where you need help. That works two ways. One is true co-sell, cooperative sales, where we look at closing new deals together and accelerating new business faster. There's also partner-led deals, where you can come into our systems and just tell us, hey, look, we have a new customer we're working with. We're going to register the win that we get it, and we can compensate for you on that on the backside. On the program, we try to build a structure that's meaningful for customers. You see these in the currency of the badges that you get as you climb your way up into our program today. I'll tell you the way we design that is we bring customers into our conference rooms and we start with a blank whiteboard and ask what's meaningful for them. When a partner shows up at their doorstep ready to sell a new solution, the customers typically look for three things. Can this partner build it? Do they have the capability to construct this solution? Can this partner deploy it in my environment? And can this partner deliver meaningful results for my company? We construct that into a capability score. Many of you know this is PCS, the Partner Capability Score. Starts at 0, maxes at 100, and when you hit 70 points, you're in the solution partner designations. Those designations align to our solution areas. And so most simply put, we talk a lot at this conference about MSEM and sales cycle and solution areas and solution plays, but I'll cut through all the noise for you. Here's the way it works. When our sellers are engaging with a customer, they're immediately mapping that customer's need to what we call a solution play. Think of this as a sales play, so that we can map that customer's challenges not to a product, but to a set of technologies that can deliver to meet their needs and solve the challenges they're having in their organization. Our program is represented exactly the same way. You don't need a guidebook to try to translate between the way Microsoft goes to market and sells as a business and the way we go to market and sell with you as our partners. It is the same thing. So our solution partner designations represent our 6 solution areas, and our solution plays represent our 31 specializations that you see in the system today. The points model is the way you earn these, and when your customers ask you, hey, this badge is great, but what does it mean? This is what it means. It means you have the technology staff in your team to create solutions that deliver value in the ecosystem. It means that you've driven net customer adds against supported workloads by solution area and solution play. And it means that a year later, after you deploy a solution to your customer, they stay with you because those solutions are driving consumption and meaningful outcomes that drive customer retention for your business. All 3 of these things are great outcomes for you, they're great outcomes for Microsoft, and more importantly, they're great outcomes for your customers. So let's talk about how this works. The points capability scoring model, I want to show you a little bit about ecosystem growth. When we started this journey 2 years ago, the concept of a capability score was brand new, and we didn't know if it was going to work. We put this new algorithm in place, we assessed partners based on these 3 facets that I've talked about, and we just watched the data and said, you know what, there should be an inversion point between partners who are achieving the benchmark of a capability score required and actually earning the designation. That inversion point was 9 months after we launched the program. And what we saw is that partners would come up and they would have one thing they were missing. Maybe it was because we were coming out of COVID and a lot of partners hadn't had a chance to reskill their workforce for a number of years because the test centers had closed down during the pandemic. We saw partners start to overcome that gap. Maybe it was customer retention and it hasn't been a big focus and driver for your business. You were focusing on net customer adds, but you weren't doing a great job retaining customers year over year. We saw customers overcoming that gap. And we saw this inversion where partners started to reach solution partner designations in a meaningful way. I'll tell you all the math behind this thing. What it maps to is Microsoft has a revenue accountability every year that we set by solution area and play. If you remember one thing takeaway from this session, I'm asking you to remember this. When we look at a given workload, we have to predict in the market how much sales activity we're going to drive into that workload this year. Those predictions have to be right because our CFO looks at those and says, you're making a bet for delivery for the company and a bet on delivery for Wall Street. And she's held accountable by Wall Street to hold those projections and targets where they need to be year over year. When I bring all of you into this room and ask you to go after a specific solution area like security or a specific solution play like building and modernizing AI applications, what I'm asking you to do is to become a partner who's delivering capabilities against those areas of our business where we have very aggressive revenue targets. And I'm not doing this because just because I want you to put in the work. I'm doing this because we're bringing a number of customers into our ecosystem that Microsoft is not going to service first party. We're only going to service through you. And so when you come to the table with those capabilities, 9 out of every 10 dollars that Microsoft transacts commercially are going to be transacted through you. And so what I'm asking for when we create new program structures and designations is our ability to build pipeline in the ecosystem so that we can deliver to customers' needs through you. So thank you for those that have put in the work. This is it's a tremendous amount of data that our team looks at against the health of the ecosystem of how many partners are earning these points. Is it accumulating to the outcomes that are driving the ecosystem's progress moving forward against solution areas and plays? And most importantly, is it meaningful for customers? So let me zoom out. I'm going to end with kind of big picture, like how does this whole thing map together and where do we go? And I'm going to show you where we started, and I'm going to show you where we'll be in the next year, and then probably leapfrog 1 year ahead from that. Where we started. So how many people remember MPN, the old Microsoft Partner Network? How many people, keep your hands up if you remember the silver and gold competencies in that ecosystem. How many people still have a silver or gold competency? It's pretty significant. So if you've been paying attention in the news, we're going to retire the competency structure this January. About 2 months. We're going to finally say goodnight to silver and gold. The reason that matters for all of you is we want you to have a programmatic home that is right for your business. I do not want to abandon a single partner at this conference and not having a place to be in the program that's meaningful for your business. So we started initially with a replacement of silver and gold and coming up with, which is primarily always really built for services partners. But where we went from there is saying, you know what, if we're going to construct this concept of solution partner designations for partners primarily that deliver services, you can't ostracize partners that have other business models. What are we going to do for our ISV partners? What are we going to do for our device partners? So last spring, we lit up the certified software designation for our ISVs, and there's been tremendous interest in these since then. But you got to build it a little bit further than that. So when we think about what else partners have been asking for, partners have been asking for SMB pathways into our solution partner designations. I'm getting a bunch of head nods in the front of the room. Thank you for that. And you feel free to hold me accountable to delivering on these for you. We have SMB pathways in the market right now for modern work and biz apps. We do not have them for security or Azure. You'll see those coming online in the coming months. I know we've been talking about this for a while, and we had directional commits about a year ago when we first launched it. I can tell you with confidence we are working on this right now, and we will deliver it in the next few months. We also have designations for partners that have other services models, partners that focus on delivering support outcomes for customers, partners that focus on delivering training services for customers and other partners. We have to create programmatic homes for partners of every type and size. And so this is how we begin to build and constitute that. We're also actively working on a device partner designation. I actually think that's in pilot right now, and you'll see that coming online. We're moving aggressively towards that target on the far right of the slide because we have this moment with Windows 10 support end of life coming in the fall. Our device partners desperately want a way to go to market in a meaningful way with customers. So this is when you think about this, like many of you heard me talk about a couple years ago, this kind of neighborhood of homes that we're building for partners of all types and sizes. This is the neighborhood. So I'm hoping this works for you. All right, that's it. I'll back up on this last slide just for a minute because I know there's still a bunch of people taking pictures. We're talking about this stuff all week. I know I moved at like a sprinting pace through this thing, but there's sessions going online all week. We're going to talk deeply about co-sell. We're going to talk deeply about the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. We're going to talk about the benefits that are coming up. So just look in the program track through the Ignite content if you're interested to go deep on any of these. If you want to connect with me or to connect with my team, we have a booth right in Zone 6 in the hub. My whole team is here this week. We also have a small platoon of support people here this week. So if you're hitting a challenge on anything with regard to like Partner Center or incentive capability or transaction, or you think your score is wrong, or you're not sure how to move from silver and gold and start to prep for the new changes, please come and see us. We'll be here. We're here for you. We're running the booth all 4 days of the event. We started this morning. We'll be here till Friday. All right? Thanks all. It's been a pleasure. Okay, next up, Anna Stranaghan. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Dan. All right. I can't believe it's been 2 years. Oops, can you hear me? Okay, I can't believe it's already been 2 years since the Microsoft AI Partner Program was first introduced. There's definitely been a lot of updates, a lot of enhancements, but I have to say I am really excited for the security and the Azure SMB paths. I think like a lot of partners are going to really qualify. It's awesome. So 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗃 is essential. It's essential for our partners to access the Microsoft benefits. And it's through the Partner Capability Scorecard, Solutions Partner Designations and how you earn them, and how you earn specializations that you unlock all of those product benefits from Microsoft, and you meet eligibility for the incentives that are available in the Microsoft Commerce Incentives Program. Honestly, many partners are finding it challenging, and I know because I get to work with partners on my day-to-day. So in my role, I help partners navigate both of those programs. But the good news is I do see a lot of them earning designations and more going on to specializations. I will say by far the majority of the designation that is earned is modern work. And I see a significant number of partners go on to earn multiple designations. But there is a little bit of a trick to it. And hopefully there's some, like what I'm going to try and bring out today is what those primary blockers are so you can understand, and we'll go through a little bit of a framework. But really the primary blockers are the skilling and the performance metrics. Okay, so the Partner Capability Score is where you start, how you qualify, how you track and analyze your progress. There are 6 designations 31 specializations, and each with their own scorecard. Earning a designation is not an immediate process, so it's really important that everybody understand that, because these scorecards are only updated once a month. See, if you're working towards a designation, you need to allow yourself a lot of time, okay? The other thing is when these scorecards are updated, so typically it's the 20th of the month, so say this week they're being updated, the data is not live, so it's actually updated until the end of the calendar month. So at the end of November, the data is till the end of October, you try and affect the change of what you need to do to improve your score, but you won't see those results until end of December or possibly end of January. So it's really important to give yourself all that time. Now, also, I want to talk about some lesser known things with the scorecard, and that is in order to, there are 3 different Azure designations in here, actually. There's the data and AI, the infrastructure, and the digital and app innovation. The metrics on these are almost exactly the same. So performance and customer success are exactly the same. If you have 10 points in deployments for infrastructure, you have the same 10 points in data and AI and digital and app innovation. And in skilling, the prerequisites are exactly the same. So the only difference is the certifications that earn you points. And if you earn one of those designations, say you earn the infrastructure, you're only a couple certs away from earning a second designation or a third designation. The more designations you have, more benefits that you get, and you do get an additional badge. The other thing to know is a lot of partners chase these designations is for eligibility in the incentives program, right? And so if you're working towards CSP rebates, any one of the 3 designations will earn you rebates in modern work. But if you want to earn Azure rebates, then you need one of the 3 Azure designations, okay? And with the SMB pass coming soon, they will be easier to attain, so that's pretty good news. So part of the framework we have is really kind of identifying that assessment with partner and making sure that we align their objectives with the benefits that they currently have and incentives, and connect them with what they want to get. And then we move on to the skilling. So in today's example, I'm just going to use the infrastructure as an example. And so skilling is the very first metric that you need to tackle. It is the one metric that I will say, like, you just basically got to do it, right? By far, skilling is a significant number of points, 40 points, which is 40% of the total possible points. And so you really need to invest that time. It does take time to earn certifications. But right now, there is a ton of resources. I mean, Microsoft is putting out a lot of resources, including us at TD SYNNEX. Those will not be always available, right? So the timing right now to make use of those is great. There is the Partner Skilling Hub, Certification Weeks, our Channel Academy, exam vouchers, free assessments, a ton of resources to help you. We really want to get partners in that getting those certifications, because it is the primary blocker in where partners are missing points. And if partners can get those points, there's a substantial amount of partners that will earn an Azure designation. All right, so now we're going to move on from the skilling and address some of the performance metrics. And so customer ads. This is the one, there's so much terminology for Microsoft, you really have to understand the terminology. And I would say this one really tests your, can you speak Microsoft? And so, kind of for example, and maybe you could raise your hands here in the audience. How well do you know partner associations? So CSP, PAL, DPOR, and CPOR. Yeah, not too many, but nice to see some hands up. Associations matter. They are the mechanism to how you get credit for the customers you work with. And it's really important that you understand those associations, because they can improve your metrics quite a bit. If you don't understand the associations and how they will work for you, make that your priority. That's the first thing you need to do. Understand them, then take inventory of all your customers and make sure you have the associations in place. Now, when it comes to customer ads, it's not new to Microsoft customers that counts. It's new to you. The other thing that partners might not be aware of is when you gain a customer, you positively affect your score. If you lose a customer, you can be in the negative. So if you lose a customer, you need to bring on 2 new customers to offset the 1 loss. So it's really important to drive this metric. Even though you only need 1 customer ad to qualify, trying and focusing on this one will fuel the points for customer usage growth, okay? Overall, when it comes to the net customer ads, marketing is going to be your key. So leverage a lot of programs like DemandSolve, where there's pre-built content ready to utilize. Align your sales and your marketing with the Microsoft Solutions plays. There they'll find some campaigns in a box, which they can easily customize with minimal effort. All right, so when it helps to help you with the net customer ads, Microsoft, within the section of the partner capability score, there's a whole solutions partner insight section. This is really useful. One of my favorites in it is specifically for the Azure net customer ads. It's a little bit more challenging to figure those ones out, but with that tool, you can easily identify the customers who are with growth and decline. So the with growth are the customers who are new, and the decline are the customers that are a loss. So your net customer ads are your growth minus your loss. And it's just a quick and easier way to see it than when you download the table in that actual metrics. Okay, so we've addressed that section, so we're going to move on to the next section in the customer success area and just kind of address what those remaining gaps are. So those last 2 metrics are deployment and customer usage. Deployments, by far the easiest metric. It's just unique advanced services over the last 12 months. If you haven't maxed that out, add new Azure services. Usage growth here is going to be measuring your total Azure revenue over the last 12 months and comparing it from the previous year. And so 1% growth equals 1 point. And so all of your customers count here. There's no minimum threshold, right? So all your customers count. When you bring on new customers, they'll really impact this score. And when you grow your existing customers, they'll impact this score. So look to us for TD SYNNEX, leverage our experts, our hands-on labs, our sales and technical to really power your growth in this area. And then the last section that not everyone is fully aware of is all the data that's in Partner Center. So in Partner Center, there is an Insights section with a Downloads hub. There is a ton of reports in there that are so useful. The 2 reports that I absolutely love when it comes to earning an Azure designation would be the Azure Consumption Report. This report is going to provide you with all the usage details for your Azure subscriptions sold and managed by you. It's also going to break out the details by service level and attribution type. And so download the data. Say if you download a month's worth, you could easily put it in an Excel pivot table and see where all those customer ads are. You can also look for customers who are just below the threshold. So maybe they're in the $800 of ACR monthly. Is there anything you can do to increase them? Because once they hit the $1,000, they'll now be considered a customer ad. You'll also be able to see clearly how long those new customers you've brought on, because they will eventually trail off. These scores from Microsoft are trailing 12 months. And then the last report in the Downloads Hub is the Cloud Ascents report. This uses AI and machine learning to provide you with propensity data on your existing customers. This propensity data also uses a lot of intent signals. So utilizing those intent signals, Microsoft's able to tell you on your existing customers which ones are likely to purchase Azure for the first time, which will count as possibly a customer add, and of your existing customers, what that next logical workload is. So that's a great opportunity to increase your revenue. Okay, folks, and that's it. So congratulations, at this point, you've gone through the whole scorecard, you've earned a designation, a badge, unlocked incentives. Just remember that you've done it. It's easier once you have the framework. Earning a second designation is a lot less daunting and a lot easier. And if you've earned an Azure designation, it's really easy to earn that second one with just a few certs. Okay, and I'll leave it up to Jan.
Thank you very much, Anna.
So now we are at the ending of the presentation, but before that, allow me to just unpack a little bit what we have shared with you this far. First, we saw where we are with 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶 today and where are we headed with the so well-beloved SMB designations that some of you know and are desperately waiting for. Then we heard as well about all the tips and tricks that Anna showed us with a very programmatic framework to tackle and make sure that you uncover the designations that your businesses need to leverage them as tailwinds for growing your business. And now we are going to finish truly unlocking the growth gear for SMBs, building differentiation, but differentiation that matters in the SMB space. In order to do that, I'm going to use the next 5 minutes to tell you a sad story. But don't worry, there's going to be also an alternative happy ending. And for that sad story, I'm going to also introduce a made-up Microsoft partner that's going to be called Transform IT. Transform IT is on its mission on supporting a very well-known SMB organization, Contoso SMB. And just as everybody has done multiple times in this room, the journey started with Office 365 and a minimal Azure adoption. I'm sure that this Azure adoption for many of you tends to be either a backup replicated into Azure or any simple workload such as Entra ID, and for those that have been in this business for a while, Active Directory. Now, what happens with Transform IT supporting Contoso SMB over time is that we continued migrating workloads to the cloud. And please notice that I've purposely used the word migrating workloads. We'll come back to that in a moment. Where are we after a couple of months then with Contoso SMB? As many of you have done multiple times as well with your customers, we are at that point on where Teams is the de facto standard for collaboration, that we've got several mission-critical workloads already on Azure with line of business applications, and those applications that truly matter to the business. And we also have, for example, SharePoint as the de facto knowledge management system for sharing information and having it as if it was OneDrive for business. Now, at this point, we are really at the crossroads, because time goes by, and the environment, the infrastructure might stay quite stable. This could be good in one hand, right? But Contoso SMB, what they will do is what every business, responsible business, would do on your hands, which is starting to think, hey, my revenue started at 40K, so my spending, started at 40K. It has grown significantly. Therefore, I want to take care or probably ask for a second opinion. Now that word migrate really comes to play, because Transform IT did not do what their name stated, transform Contoso SMB. Therefore, they have not created any competing advantage for when that situation occurs. And what happens if that situation occurs? Then that the business starts being at risk. And any other partner or even third party that comes to the party can steal the business because they have not invested the amount of time and effort that Transform IT have in the past. Therefore, they can tiny slash the invoice, and they will most likely get a smile from Contoso SMB. What is the alternative happy ending then? Well, I'm sure that many of you have already picked it up, right? If we called it Transform IT is deliberate, right? So what should have happened is that for Transform IT to truly support Contoso SMB to adopt cloud, not solely utilize cloud, but to adopt it, and make sure that the workloads they leverage are those that truly they get business value out of them. Now, I'm sure that many of you have already realized that there's a line massively growing up from that tipping point. That's also the opportunity that Transform IT can unlock, and all of you can unlock if you make sense of that transformation. If you really tackle what we see in the industry is happening on those partners that rapidly grow and make 𝗦𝗽𝗍𝗶𝗶 and everything we haven't covered work for their business. What I'm going to show in the next slide is just a framework that we use to showcase what this transformation could look like. And by the way, what we are saying is not for the cloud partners to become cybersecurity experts or data scientists overnight. My ambition for you here today is tap into the boundaries. Make sure that if you are a cloud expert today, that you can also share some operational efficiencies with your customers through automation, that you can simplify their analytics landscape, that you can bring way more value than simply migrating workloads to the cloud. And in doing so, that you do it repeatedly. Because by the moment that Transform IT has this painful conversation over how do we reduce a little bit the invoice, if they have built all this differentiation over time, that is goodwill that any other organization will need to build and invest, protecting your customers. Now, it's imperative, though, that we walk towards the secure, intelligent cloud, that we start bringing solutions such as a landing zone SMB ready that already brings some policies and automation capabilities that bring efficiency for your customers. And you know it very well, applying Azure policy, blueprints, and many other solutions that Azure brings to us might not be easy, but it's to your benefit to build all this differentiation. And one important topic here, that doesn't mean you need to do it all by yourselves. According to our own internal research, the Direction of Technology report that you can download from our website, there's more than 46% of the partners who are willing to collaborate with others in this room to make this happen. But at TD SYNNEX, in order to support you in this transformational journey, we have been, for more than 40 years, improving what we call the technology adoption journey. And in this technology adoption journey, we help you since the very first moment in identifying where do we have your opportunities landing. And then we tackle what comes next, which is give me and bring me the capabilities to make them a reality. Afterwards, you still are not alone, which is the transaction, the sale, right? Presenting it and making it available to your customers. Support before and after the sale. Now, in here, there's two main roads to success. Two main roads that also many of you have already uncovered, leveraging our expertise. The first one usually is building technical mastery. Now, Anna has been talking for a while about certifications and skilling. And I'm sorry to sound repeating here, but this is truly essential. And skills are not something that needs to be sitting in somebody's mind. They need to be put for creating business value. That's precisely why we bring to you also what we can also see at our booth, which is Cloud Labs. And Cloud Labs is one of our groundbreaking technologies that help you not only play with what you learn, but also embrace it, show it, and share it with your customers. Now, it's important and imperative that if your services bench might see a lot of demand from all these new capabilities that you are bringing in, for you to also realize and rely on services organizations that, again, are built for the channel. And there's, as I promised as well, another route. This other route is what I like to call business innovation. It's trying to find new routes to market. It's trying to find new ways to present your business value to your customers. Some might call it productizing your IP, intellectual property, and making sure that these innovations that you make that happen and that they are acknowledged as such. Now, for that matter, we here at TD SYNNEX have awarded programs such as Practice Builder. And in there, we do not only help you leaning into the technical capabilities, but we also present you with the different routes that you can access to market, how to monetize on every goodwill that you are creating for your customers, and more importantly, how to present yourselves for driving success. And again, taking into consideration what your current customers are demanding you. You know your market better than anybody else. So that's what we put into consideration in every Practice Builder session as well. Now, we have heard quite a lot about marketplaces lately. That could not go unnoticed also at TD SYNNEX. We can help you out also into tackling these new routes to market to simplify and streamline your procurement processes with your customers. That being either presenting your solutions into the Microsoft Marketplace or even bringing them into the TD SYNNEX ecosystem, so we make sure that we expose your good efforts and value to all the other partners that might be in this room, as we said before, exploring those boundaries. And to close, we have not only done this once, but we also can do that to augment your current marketing services and capabilities. And for that matter, Anna has presented some examples around Azure. But this technology adoption journey works not only for Azure technologies, it also works for technologies such as Modern Work, Copilot, and many more. What we have done, and with this particular example that I'm bringing to you, it's showing our comprehensive technology adoption journey for Copilot 365. Let me unpack each and every one of these boxes in just a couple of minutes. First, we start with Destination AI. Just by a show of hands, how many of you have heard of Destination AI? Great. Then that's a fantastic opportunity for you to come to our booth, 601, and learn a little bit more about it. Because Destination AI unpacks what could be your journey from today, regardless of your current AI expertise, till tomorrow to adopt these technologies for yourselves. We have heard in today's keynote Customer Zero, so your own organizations, and also bring this value to your customers. After Destination AI, we present you also with not only the deep dive technical trainings that we showcased in the previous slide, but also with digital enablement journeys, such as the ones that are presented in here, with also badges that you can showcase to your customers as a proof of your competence. And these technology journeys that are digitally available to you all are just a testament of our efforts to support you go from 0 to 1 and make sure that we talk about business outcomes and not solely technology. Finally, I've been talking in the previous slide about Cloud Labs. Now we've heard today about the Cloud Labs agents, Copilot agents. Guess what? We've got a complete and ready-to-use Cloud Lab environment featuring Copilot agents already at booth 601. So if you want to play with that technology, learn how to master it, and make sure that you know what you can do for your customers leveraging it, please don't be a stranger. And just to close, I think that it's imperative in today's economy to talk about also the simplification engines that we can bring to you to make sure that cloud management stays easy, no matter the amount of customers, revenue, and different solutions that you build for them. And that's precisely why we bring Stream One and Stream One capabilities to your fingertips as well. Again, another technology that you can see at our booth in today's Ignite presentations. Now, I'm really thankful for the time that you have given us in unpacking all these growth years for SMB, and allow me to just summarize some of the aspects that we have covered. We started from 0 to 1, and in this 0 to 1, it really matters where are your strengths today? Where are your customers expecting you to be? And 1 to 70, and these 70 should be the points that you will achieve to get your designation, we have also uncovered what are different pathways to success to make sure that you knock your first, second, and third designations if needed be. Finally, the final piece we brought to you is, please do it different. If you migrate, if you implement, I'm not saying you are not bringing value, but you are not bringing value that sticks, that creates this differentiation that is needed for you to protect your business. So please build differentiation and also productize your IP, so it's not only differentiation that matters, but it's differentiation that is perceived and monetized. And finally, there's no better time to do that than today. We will continue hearing about the tone of technology innovations within Ignite, leverage each and every one of them to continue unlocking the growth years for SMB. Thank you very much for your time.